Hey YouTube, so I may have finally figured this whole camera thing out. We'll see. What I'm doing today is a layout that I'm actually doing 8 times the same layout. Sounds exciting, right? For calendars that I give as gifts. So some of the supplies I'm going to be using, I have this pattern paper that's by the Paper Studio. I have these 8x8 sheets. I have some ribbon. I have a container of, some brads. I'm using this photo collage and this 4x6 photo. I have 2 different kinds of thickers. I'm going to use one on about half the layouts and the other on the other half of the layouts. I have some doilies. I have my white Versacolor ink pad, and I have a couple of stamps. Now, if you know me at all, you've never seen me stamp on a layout. I don't really do that. This layout is actually for a challenge for Nancy on YouTube. She is Kitty Scrapper. She does a lot of stamping. I don't. That's also why I'm using the doilies as kind of a nod, I guess you would say, to her. So I'm going to get started, and then I have to go to work, and I'll come back later today and finish. But I also thought if I went ahead and did this part before I went to work, then it'll have time to dry while I work. So again, I'm sure there's better ways to do this. This stamp had a wood block for it, but I'm not really going to use it. It's the first time I've ever used it, and I don't even know which way the text actually goes, but I'm not really concerned about that. What I'm looking for is just that it'll show up just a little bit. Yeah, that's really subtle, but I'm looking for just a little bit of stamping. As kind of something additional on this page. Like I said, I don't even know if you'll be able to see that that's there. But on the actual page you can see it a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is just do that 7 more times, leave those to dry, and then I'll be back later tonight to show you the rest of the layout. Hi, so I'm back to finish the page, and I didn't finish it last night, like I said, so I'm finishing it this morning, and kind of got an idea of what I was going to lay it out. So, and basically you can kind of see that first layer of stamping, like Kitty wanted. And if you hear me being taunted in the background, that would be my husband. He's also playing a video game, so if you hear that, that's him too. All I did was cut a 1/4 inch off all the way around this piece of paper so I could mount it on white. I kind of want to highlight that white. If you can see on the paper, there's like white stitching around the little blocks. That's also why I chose to use this paper, and why I'm going to do some of the embellishments that I'm going to do. So I'm putting this photo over here on this side for 2 reasons. Okay, there we go, sorry. The first is because this part of the photo's not a big deal, and so I can cut that off. The second part is because the way that she's looking here with this photo, she's looking this way. So I don't want her to be like looking over here off the page and make you like look over there, if that makes sense. So she's gonna look onto the page here. I'm putting the two pictures where she's in them kind of together, just because I think that makes a little bit more sense kind of visually, if you will. And so what I'm gonna do is line these up. One of the nice things about using ATG is kind of, if you get it where you don't want it, you just roll it up out of the way a little bit, which is what I'm going to do there. I'm using kind of the lines in the paper and the edge of this sheet to line this up where I want. There's that video game. And a text message for a hair appointment, so. They might want to know when my phone went ping ping in the middle of filming a video. So this paper, the pink and the purple, the way that I decided on how to cut that was by how much of it I had. So the pink, I actually had 4 8x8 sheets of. So that meant I knew I could have a 4" by 8" piece for each of my 8 pages, if that makes sense. So what I did was then took that 4" piece and said, okay, I'm going to put, use a larger portion here, so 3 inches here to 1 inch down here on this side of the layout. To sort of give it a little bit of balance and a little bit of continuity, I guess you would say. I'm not going to get out my T-square to do this. I could, certainly, to like line this up all perfectly straight and stuff. I'm not going to worry that much about it, honestly. It'll be pretty close. The reason that I did this in advance was to make sure that I knew I had enough and where, kind of vaguely at least, I was going to put a few of the things to go on here. One of the things I had sort of thought about using were these brads, these little, and I got them out and set them out here, and it turns out they're not going to work because I don't have the right color pink. Like, this is a super bright pink, almost neon kind of pink, and none of the brads were that color, so it just doesn't really go with the rest of the page. One of the things that was important to me to use here is going to be this doily, since it's a page for Nancy's challenge. I want to use some doilies as a reflection of Nancy and all her lovely doilies. These are not nearly as lovely as the doilies that she tends to use. My doilies are from the, my doilies are just from the cooking section of the craft store. So like the kitchen section area, whatever. And sort of like she does, what I did was a little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom, kind of cut it into 2 areas. I kind of want this one, I think, a little bit. As it turns out, you can only see very, very little of my word stamping. There's like a little tiny bit right there of all that word stamping that I did that took like a while earlier. But that's okay. That's not really that big of a deal. Not going to upset me terribly one way or the other. Is this not the cutest thing? Michael's for $1. I think they're so cute. And I have, from another project, a whole package of the buttons that were left that were a small size of these. And so what I intend to do is bring those. I left them at my office. But what I'm going to do is bring them home today to finish using on the page. I'm going to use them here, to my mind, sort of like you would use like an enamel dot or a bling or something like that. But I'm going to use buttons because I have them and they're cute. And so that's what's going to get used here. I've got bling out to use as well, and I'm just not going to do it with that. So this is what it'll be. Sorry, just looking for my favorite glue. And there it is. This is the glue that I like to use for any kind of big embellishment, heavy things like that. And I tend to just try to put it down like that, especially with buttons. And I just kind of stick it on. And yes, I'm sticking to the picture as well here. I don't always do that. Part of the reason that's okay for me by me for this is because this isn't an actual scrapbook page. This isn't going in an actual book. This goes on a calendar that people use obviously throughout the year. And then, to be honest with you, I don't know what they do with them after. I don't know. I think most of them, people that I make them for, keep them, but I'm not certain of that, so don't know. But it is what it is with those. So then the next thing we're going to do, this page, by the way, is my daughter and her last cookie booth as a middle schooler. So she's been selling Girl Scout cookies since she was in kindergarten, and hopefully this probably isn't her last year to sell them, probably, but it wouldn't necessarily surprise me a lot if her troupe decides not to do it anymore. Her troupe that she's in now has pretty consistently been some of the highest sales people in the whole district for many, many years, I think. And so now they're gonna all be in high school next year, and I think they're kind of over it, to be honest. So it would not surprise me at all if the girls just decide not to do it next year. Oh, I was gonna do something else there. Well, yeah, I'm not. I'm gonna move this. I'm not. Because I put that title down, I put that embellishment cluster down there, and I was going to do a little something else with it. On some of the other ones, I may end up doing that a little differently. So Nancy's requirements for this challenge were to use stamping. 2 stamps, I think, was the requirement. To use pattern paper as a background, and there's my pattern paper as the background, and to have an embellishment cluster. So the thing about these calendar pages that I do is I tend to not like embellish a whole lot on them, simply because like it's expensive to do 8 times, and so I don't tend to do a whole lot. See, that's what I had intended to do. You know what, I'm going to take that off. You know, it's great when you ask somebody to be quiet and they could not be louder. That's a joke. I'm getting a look now. That's okay. Thank you, Slurpee. Usually it's my son making noise in the background. Today, apparently, it's the bigger of my 3 children. What a nerd. Maybe. Hopefully you can see this on there. And you can hear me throw things, which is awesome. Just grabbing some, sorry about that, grabbing some washi tape that I have here close by. And securing this down on the back. I did use the ATG across it, so it shouldn't be bad, but these little pins I have had forever. They came in some kind of a kit or a something, and otherwise they would never have been something that I bought, but I have them, and so I think it's gonna go in right there. It seems to like to stick in foam fairly well. So what I'm going to do is grab a tiny piece of my big foam tape roll. We'll just stick it in here under this doily and whatnot. Well, there we go. There we go. That's all I wanted, was just that kind of sticking up there. Just as a little bit of something different. Again, since I'm not really, I don't do a lot of embellishments on these because that gets real expensive real fast. I think those might be a great option to use. In the next one, I may pop that whole photo up on the phone just to make that a little bit easier to stick down. I think it'll be okay. I think it'll smash a little bit and be fine. So then I have this roller stamp, and I don't know, apparently it's Recollections from which would be Michael's brand, obviously. And my plan is just to these things are a challenge for me a little bit, but I have a few of them now. I think they're cute. Just add some sort of subtle stamping in a couple little places there. And I think that's it. I think that that is what February's page in this year's calendars is going to look like. And I said earlier I do 8 of them. That's true, I do 8 of them, but only 7 actually have pictures of my kids. The 8th one is a little bit different. It's somebody else's. So, hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Thanks for the challenge, Nancy.